Thank you all for coming this evening. It is a small crowd this evening, but that's okay. I do want to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Syilx Nation, and we're honored to be able to do that as they have been the stewards of this land for quite some time. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the brains behind this tapestry, and she's going to give a little talk, which at some future date you'll be able to see on our YouTube channel. Cathy Stubington manages and runs Runaway Moon Theatre in Grindrod, British Columbia, and she will give a little presentation shortly. I also want to point out that here with us this evening is our featured member of the month, Bronwyn Van Niesen, but she has gratefully declined to give us an artist talk. We'll see if we can't get her to talk for our YouTube channel. Thank you once again all for coming. Cathy, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, thank you. So, this is our Shuswap River Waterthread map, and it was made by over 50 people. Most of them are on that list, and most of them embroidered their own names. So what we wanted to do was really to get a picture in our minds of the extent of the watershed that we drink water from every day, and it's just amazing how extensive it is. So this is the Shuswap River, the source, which is at Greenbush Lake, which is up near Revelstoke, and it goes down here. This is the upper Shuswap, and it goes into Sugar Lake and round to Lumbee, which is around here, and then into Maple Lake, and then down past Kingfisher to Enderby, and then it turns a corner and goes into Mara Lake, and that's where it feeds into the Shuswap, the big Shuswap Lake. Now we divided. We had to figure out how. It was a bit tricky to figure out how to divide it up so that several people could embroider it at once, because it was done in different embroidery sessions that happened in Mara, in Sicamous, in Mara, in Enderby, and Ashton Creek, in Armstrong, in Vernon, and also in Lumbee. And at first we were thinking that we would have small pieces and give them out to individuals, but then we realized that the value of that would be more valuable for people to embroider together. And somehow we realized that if we divided them into these long, narrow strips, for one thing, each of these communities would be in one of the strips, and then also several people could embroider at once. So that worked out really well. Sometimes people say you really ought to have the towns in here, or you really ought to have the roads, but we really wanted to see just the watershed all on its own. It's kind of a different way of thinking of the land. So, what else can I say? The people who embroidered it were of all ages and all levels of experience embroidering. Oh, I would like to tell you that the main waterway has been beaded. It was beaded by Elder Marie Thomas, and we were happy that she did that because that acknowledged the Shuswap territory. Most of this is in traditional territory of the Shuswap people, where we're very fortunate to be able to work and live.
Was each embroiderer given a specific stitch to use, or could they use their own stitches?
Yeah, no, people chose what stitch to use. Yeah, there were certain things that were set. The things that were set were the map. We were fairly precise with the map. And then you can see that there are two different shades of blue in the background. So the ones that are this shade of blue had a certain color scheme of embroidery thread, and the ones that are this shade of blue had another shade. So we generally we had lighter colors as the water went downhill. So when they're up higher in the hills, it's darker. But otherwise, they could do whatever they want. So if you look at it closely, you can really kind of get a sense of the personalities that made it. I had something else. Oh, yes. Some people are confused because it's oriented, this is north this way, that's east and west. We did that actually because we wanted the map to be able to be exhibited in a room with an 8-foot ceiling, and because the land that we were depicting was longer this way, or we oriented this way. But it's kind of interesting because it also really helps you to see it without the human presence. Maybe I can say a little bit about what Runaway Moon does.
Let's just ask another question. How many person hours went into making this?
Oh, I haven't calculated the person hours. No, I
It would
don't
have been a
know.
lot.
Yeah, a lot of person hours. So there are 50 people on that list. There's another person who I have to add to it, and there was a group of young people that also worked on it, and there were about 10 in that group of young people. So 60 persons, some of whom put in quite many hours. So
Was it over like 3 months that we did
around
it?
3 months, and then in September, we a small group of us gathered together to check to see that everything exactly lined up, and not everything lined up exactly. So we had to do a few alterations, but mostly it was pretty good. The map that we went by is over here. It's a Vernon Forestry District map, or BC, Government of BC Forestry District map. You can't get a paper map anymore. We tried to get a new one so that I can have a nice new one to frame here. But as it is, you can kind of see our process of dividing this into the 7 sections. And then if you want to figure out where the things are, you can look on here, but you have to go like this.
How did you draw or use a chalk or something to transfer that onto the fabric so that people had an idea of where?
Yes, we started with had a piece of paper this big.
As big as?
As big as the map. And then, do you know what I mean by gridding something out? Mm-hmm. So we made a grid here, and then we copied by hand. We gridded out the big piece of paper to match this, and then drew it in by hand, and then cut that map into 7 pieces, and then put it kind of under here, and then kind of transferred it by eye, but because it was a narrow piece, we could do it fairly accurately.
And did you use chalk or what?
Yeah, we used Taylor's chalk.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Taylor's chalk is all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then gave them, I was there for some of the sessions, but other people took responsibility for one of the panels. So there was a group in Lumbee, led by Cathy Lansing, that did the number 6. There was Armstrong Quilters did the 4th one. Deb Humphreys had a group meeting in the Vernon Library, and Yes, some people met at the Red Barn in Sycamoose and at the little hall in Mara, and then we met at the library in Enderby and Riverside Hall in Ashton Creek. And Runaway Moon, we do two main things. One is theater with puppets, and the other is usually quite large-scale art projects, collaborating with community members that don't necessarily self-identify as artists. So many people get involved. And through those projects, we're usually learning together about what it means to live in this place at this time. Yeah, we have a website. There's quite a lot on the website because we've existed for 25 years. It's www.runawaymoon.org.